She was just trying to get home. No drama, no detours. Just her tote bag, her leftover jollof rice in a container, and her tired teacher feet that had been standing since 7 in the morning. That was all Kaylin wanted on a Thursday evening. To get home, take off her shoes, and forget that a 10-year-old boy had asked her today if whom was a real word, or if grown-ups just made it up to sound smart. But life, as Kaylin had learned many times, did not care about her plans. Because the girl she saved that evening, the trembling, crying girl she pulled out of an alley on Crescent Street in Mapogu, was not just any girl. She was the little sister of the most dangerous man in Seoul. And he was about to find out that the woman who saved his sister was the same woman he could not stop thinking about. Stay right here. Do not click away. And when it is over, drop a comment telling me your favorite scene. Like this video and subscribe, because new episodes drop every week, and you do not want to miss what happens next. Now, let us go back to Thursday evening. Kaylin was 28 years old and taught 5th grade at Maplewood International Elementary in Mapogu, Seoul, one of those schools that had been built to serve the growing community of expat families and international residents who had decided that Seoul was not just a place to visit, but a place to live. The school sat between a convenience store and a flower shop and smelled faintly of chalk and hand sanitizer, which Kaylin had stopped noticing after the first month. She had come to Seoul 2 years ago on a teaching contract that she kept renewing because the city had done something to her that she had not expected. It had gotten under her skin. The food, the rhythm of the streets, the way the Han River looked at night, the ajumas at the market who slipped her extra vegetables and then argued loudly about it. She was staying. She had quietly decided this without making a big announcement, the way she made most of her important decisions. She was the kind of woman who carried 3 pens at all times, because one would always run out of ink. She meal prepped on Sundays, called her mother every Saturday morning on a time zone that required one of them to be slightly unreasonable about the hour, and had a rule about not bringing work stress home. The rule did not always work, but she had it, and that counted for something. She was tall, brown-skinned, with natural hair that she alternated between a puff and 2-strand twists, depending on how much time she had in the morning. Today, it was a puff. She had on a mustard yellow cardigan, black slacks, and white sneakers because she refused to suffer in heels for children who would not even sit still. She was walking to the subway station, transit card in hand, headphones around her neck, mentally debating whether she wanted to reheat the jollof or just eat it cold because she was that tired, when she heard it. A scream. Short and sharp and immediately swallowed, the way a scream sounds when someone clamps a hand over a person's mouth. Kaylin stopped. Every sensible instinct in her body said, "Keep walking, call 112, do not be a hero. You have leftover food and a bed waiting for you." She turned toward the alley anyway. There were 2 of them, 2 men, both tall, one with a gray hoodie and one in a dark jacket, and between them was a girl. Young, maybe 19, small-framed, with long black hair and wide, terrified eyes. One of the men had her bag, the other had her wrist. Kaylin did not think, she just spoke. "Yeah," she shouted, and her voice came out bigger than she expected, the same voice she used when a child decided to run in the hallway toward a fire drill. "What are you doing? I said yeah!" The 2 men looked up. So did the girl. Kaylin held up her phone. "I am on the phone with the police right now. I have been recording this whole time. I have your faces on camera." She was not recording. She had not even unlocked her phone. But she said it with the confidence of a woman who had once convinced 30 10-year-olds that she had eyes in the back of her head. The man in the gray hoodie let go of the girl's wrist. The one with the bag dropped it. And then they were gone. Fast. Like they had never been there. The girl crumpled against the alley wall. Kaylin walked over quickly. Hey, are you okay? Are you hurt?" The girl shook her head, which could have meant either yes or no, or she did not know yet. "I am not going to hurt you," Kaylin said softly, crouching to her level. "I am a teacher. I am a professional at dealing with chaotic situations, and I have snacks in my bag. Not the exciting kind, just granola bars, but they exist." The girl let out a sound somewhere between a sob and a laugh. Her name was Yuna. She told Kaylin this after they had moved to the edge of the alley, After Kaylin had given her a granola bar and some water from a very crumpled bottle she found at the bottom of her tote, and after they had sat on a nearby bench for several minutes, in the way that people sit after something terrifying has just ended. Yuna Jang, 19 years old. She said she was a student, that she had taken a wrong turn, that she did not know this part of Mapo well. She said it all quickly, like she was reading from a script she had prepared but was not confident in. Kaylin noticed. She did not push. "Do you want me to call someone for you?" Kaylin asked. "No," Yuna said immediately, then softened it with a small, embarrassed smile. "I am okay, really. I just need a minute." Kaylin sat with her for 20 minutes. She told Yuna her name, told her she taught 5th grade at the international school, told her the story of the boy who had asked about whom today, and Yuna laughed, genuinely this time, and it made her look even younger than 19. When Yuna finally said she was okay to leave, Kaylin walked with her to the main road, made sure she got into a taxi, and watched it pull away before she walked back toward the subway. She got home, reheated the jollof, ate it standing over the sink because she was too tired to sit down, and went to bed. She thought that was the end of it. It was not. 3 days later, it was a Sunday, and Kaylin was doing exactly what she always did on Sundays. Meal prep. Podcast on low, plantains frying on one burner, beans on another, and a playlist she called Productive But Make It Cute, playing from a small speaker on the counter of her Mapo-gu apartment, which was small by most standards and perfect by hers. She had just finished portioning her rice when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something, some small, unexplainable thing, made her pick up. It was Yuna. Her voice was wrong, thin and shaking, the way a voice sounds when the person using it is trying very hard not to cry and failing. "Kaylin, see," she said. "I think I need help." They had found her. Not the same 2 men from the alley, but others. And this time, they had not just wanted her bag. This time, it had been deliberate. A warning. Yuna did not say for what. She just said she was at a convenience store near Hongdae Station, that she had a split lip and a bruised cheek, and that she did not know who else to call. Kaylin was already grabbing her keys. She found Yuna sitting on the ground beside the convenience store entrance, arms wrapped around herself, hair out of its usual neat arrangement, one cheek swollen and darkening. The store owner, a tired-looking older man, was hovering nearby with a damp cloth, unsure what to do with it. Kaylin sat beside Yuna on the ground, right there on the pavement, and she did not say anything for a moment. She just put her arm around the girl's shoulders. "Okay," she said quietly. "I am here." "Mianhae," Yuna whispered. "I am sorry." "Do not apologize to me. I have nowhere else to be." That was a partial lie, because her plantains were still on the stove, but she had turned off the burner, so. She took Yuna back to her apartment. She cleaned the split lip, pressed ice wrapped in a cloth to the bruised cheek, and fed her the food she had been prepping. Yuna sat at Kaylin's small kitchen table and ate jollof rice and beans with the focus of someone who had not eaten all day, which, it turned out, she had not. Kaylin sat across from her and waited. Eventually, Yuna looked up. "I should not have called you." "And yet here we are," Kaylin said pleasantly, "eating, like friends." "You do not know what you got yourself into," Yuna said. "I teach 10-year-olds in a foreign country," Kaylin said. "I have been in difficult situations before." Yuna gave her a look. It was a very specific look, the kind that said, "This is different, and you do not know how different." But all she said was, "My brother is going to want to thank you." "He does not have to," Kaylin said. "He will not give you a choice," Yuna said, and something in her voice made Kaylin put down her fork. But Yuna was already smiling, small and strange, looking at her bowl. "You are going to be very surprised," she said quietly, "by my brother." Kaylin did not have to wait long. 2 days later, it was a Tuesday, and she was in the school parking lot after a particularly exhausting day involving a glitter incident that she was not legally allowed to discuss. She was pulling out her transit card when she became aware that the street outside the school gate had gone very quiet. She turned around. There were 5 cars. Black, sleek, expensive. The kind that did not belong outside an international elementary school in Mapogu or, frankly, anywhere near children doing finger painting. They had pulled up silently along the curb, in a loose formation, and now they were just parked, engines off, saying absolutely nothing. For a moment, Kaylin thought she was being pranked. She looked around for cameras. She looked around for her colleague BC, who was known for elaborate jokes. BC was nowhere. Then one car door opened. He stepped out. He was tall. He was unfairly, almost aggressively tall. The kind of tall that made you recalibrate your understanding of how tall people were supposed to be. Dark hair, sharp jaw, wearing a black coat over a dark shirt, and moving with the slow, unhurried ease of someone who had never once in his life had to rush for anything. He walked toward her, and Kaylin had approximately 4 seconds to decide how to handle this. He stopped a few feet away. "Kaylin, see?" he said. His voice was low and even, and it carried the weight of a man who chose his words because he meant them. "That is me," she said. She was proud of how calm she sounded. She was not calm. "My name is Ryu Jang," he said. "Yuna is my sister." And there it was, the surprise Yuna had promised. Because she recognized the name, not from anywhere she could immediately place, but from the way it settled in the air around them, the way his men, who had not moved from their cars, held themselves like furniture in a room where something important was about to happen. Ryu Jang. She would later find out that his name was known in certain circles across Seoul the way weather was known. Not because people talked about it carelessly, but because people knew when it was coming. Right now, standing outside an elementary school in Mapogu, with glitter probably still on her cardigan, Kaylin did not know any of that. All she knew was that this man was looking at her with dark, unreadable eyes, and that she, infuriatingly, could not look away. "Your sister is okay," she said. "I am glad I could help." "She told me what you did," he said. "Both times." "It was nothing extraordinary." "You sat on a pavement with her," he said. Something shifted in his expression, the smallest thing, almost nothing, but she caught it. That was extraordinary. Kaylin opened her mouth, closed it, and then said, "I am a teacher. We are comfortable with floors." He looked at her for a long, still moment. Then something happened that she was genuinely not expecting. He almost smiled. It was barely there, a fraction of a thing at the corner of his mouth, gone before it fully arrived. But she saw it, and it did something very unhelpful to her composure. "I would like to repay you," he said. "That is not necessary," she said. "It is, to me." "Mr. Jang," she said, and she watched something flicker in his eyes at the formality. "I did not help your sister so that someone would repay me. I helped her because it was the right thing to do. That is all." He was quiet. His men were quiet. A motorbike somewhere on the street made a sound and then faded. "Dinner," he said finally. She blinked. "I beg your pardon?" "Allow me to take you to dinner," he said, "not as payment, as gratitude." A pause. "There is a difference." She stared at him. He stared back. Neither of them blinked, and Kaylin refused to blink first because she had not survived 2 years of teaching abroad to be outstared outside her own school gate. "One dinner," she said finally. "One dinner," he agreed. She nodded once, sharp. He gave her his number through a man who materialized from somewhere with a business card. Then the 5 cars pulled away and left as quietly as they had come. Kaylin stood on the pavement. "Okay," she said to nobody. "Okay." She walked to the subway. She stood on the platform for 2 full minutes before she remembered to tap her card. Her best friend BC thought this was the funniest thing that had ever happened. 5 cars, BC repeated, sitting across from Kaylin in Kaylin's living room that evening, holding a cup of tea she had not drunk from in several minutes because she was too busy being entertained. 5. In Seoul, outside an elementary school. "Along the school gate," Kaylin confirmed. "During pickup time?" "After pickup, thank God. The parents were gone." BC set her cup down. "Kaylin, a dangerous man and his entourage of 5 mysterious vehicles came to your place of work in a foreign country to ask you to dinner, and you said yes. He was very polite about it." "Girl." "He was," BC leaned forward. "What does he look like?" Kaylin looked at the ceiling. BC. What does he look like, Kaylin? A pause. He is very tall. BC screamed. Would you stop? Kaylin said without heat. He is very tall, BC repeated in a voice that was doing something dramatic. She said he is very tall, this woman, this calm, sensible, granola bar-carrying woman. BC pointed at her. You like him already. I do not know him. You like the idea of him, which is stage 1. There are no stages because there is nothing happening, Kaylin said firmly. It is one dinner. One. I will go, I will be polite, I will eat something nice, and I will come home. BC looked at her with the specific calm of a woman who knew she was right and was content to wait. You are going to have feelings, BC said simply, and picked up her tea. The restaurant was not what Kaylin expected. She had prepared herself for something overwhelming, something in Gangnam with gold-plated menus and waiters who spoke in whispers, and food that came in portions the size of her thumb. She wore a burgundy wrap dress and her good earrings, and spent a concerning amount of time on her hair, and then felt embarrassed about the time she had spent, and then felt annoyed at herself for being embarrassed. But the restaurant was quiet, small, a Korean place tucked into a narrow street in Bukchon, with warm lighting and wooden tables and music so low you could talk over it without effort. The kind of place that had clearly been chosen because it was good, not because it was impressive. Ryu was already there when she arrived. He stood when she came in, which startled her slightly, because people did not usually do that anymore, and he waited until she was seated before he sat down again. He was in a dark blazer tonight, no coat, and he looked like he was making an effort to seem less like himself, which she appreciated in a way she could not quite name. You came, he said. I said I would, she replied. People say many things, he said simply. She did not know what to do with that, so she looked at the menu. They ordered. He ordered in Korean, briefly, and she noticed the way the waiter responded, the small bow, the careful attention, the way the entire staff seemed to rearrange themselves around his presence. She filed this away. Have you adjusted to Seoul? He asked. 2 years in, she said. It feels like home now. The food helped. What do you like? Doenjang jjigae, she said, and tteokbokki, but only the really spicy kind. He looked at her with something she was beginning to recognize as his version of surprise, which was very still and very quiet. What? She said. Nothing, he said, but the corner of his mouth moved in that almost smile again. You did not expect that, she said. No, he admitted. I am a 5th-grade teacher living in Seoul, she said pleasantly, not a limited person. He looked at her for a moment. Then he said, very quietly, like he was testing the weight of the words, No, you are not. Kaylin looked down at her water glass. She needed to get it together. They talked, really talked, in the way that surprised her because she had expected something formal and careful and guarded. And he was guarded, she could feel it, layers of it, practiced and deliberate. But he also asked real questions and listened to the real answers, which was rarer than people understood. He asked about her students. She told him about the boy and whom, and he laughed, quiet and sudden, like he had not been planning to, like it had escaped. She liked that laugh unreasonably. You love it, he said, teaching. Some days I strongly dislike it, she said honestly. But yes, I love it. Why? She thought about it. Because they are still becoming who they are going to be, and I get to be part of that, even in a small way. She paused. It is a big responsibility. I take it seriously. He was quiet, watching her. What? She asked. My mother was a teacher, he said. She had not expected that. He said it simply, looking at his glass, and she understood it was not a small thing he was saying. It was something he did not say often. Was? She asked gently. She passed, he said, when Yuna was 11. I am sorry, Kaylin said. She meant it the way you mean things when you actually mean them, and she thought he heard the difference because something in his posture shifted, just slightly. Not harder, softer. She would have liked you, he said. Kaylin did not know what to do with that at all. He walked her to the subway entrance. The streets of Bukchon were quiet, the evening cool, lanterns from a nearby hanok casting soft gold on the stone path, and they walked without hurry, which was strange because nothing about his world seemed to move without purpose. At the subway steps, she turned to face him. "Thank you," she said, "for dinner. You did not have to." "I wanted to," he said. She looked at him. He was looking at her. The lamplight caught the angles of his face in a way that was deeply unfair, and Kaylin thought, "I am in trouble." "I have a question," she said. "Ask it." "Who are you?" she said. "Really?" He held her gaze. The quiet stretched between them, not uncomfortable, but full, the way quiet gets when it is carrying something. "Someone who is trying to be less than I was," he said finally. She considered that. "Is it working?" "Some days," he said. "Tonight it was easier." She did not smile, but she wanted to. "Good night, Ryu," she said.
"Good night, Kailan-si," he said. And the way he said her name, deliberate and careful, like it was something worth pronouncing correctly, made her fingers tighten on her transit card. She went down the steps. She stood on the platform. She stared at the subway map she had long since memorized and saw absolutely none of it. She called Bisi. "You have feelings," Bisi said before she could speak. "I strongly dislike you," Kaylin said. "How many stages are we at now?" Kaylin hung up. She saw him again 5 days later, not planned. She was at the local supermarket near Mapo station that she liked. The one with the good imported goods section and the halmioni at the banchan counter, who always slipped her extra kimchi because Kaylin told her it was the best in Seoul, which was true. She was reaching for a jar of doenjang paste when she heard a voice behind her. "You cook Korean food." She turned. Ryu was standing there in a gray sweater and dark jeans, looking almost unbearably normal, like a person and not an event. He had no coat, no entourage, no 5 cars, just him and a handbasket with a sad amount of instant noodles in it. She looked at the basket. He looked at the basket. "You live alone," she said. "Temporarily," he said. "Ryu," she said carefully. "Those are 6 packs of Shinramyun and 1 energy drink." "And sesame oil," he said, as if that helped. "That does not help," she said. He looked faintly embarrassed, which was the most human she had seen him look, and it was spectacular. "Come," she said, before she had finished deciding to say it. She picked up her basket. "I am making dinner tonight. There will be enough." He blinked. "Unless you have somewhere to be," she said. "I do not," he said quickly. "A beat. I mean, I could clear my schedule." She gave him a look. He looked back at her with absolute dignity and a basket full of ramyun. "Come on then," she said, and walked toward the vegetables. He followed. He stood in her Mapo apartment kitchen that evening, like a man who had not stood in a home kitchen in a long time. He was too big for the space in the best possible way, and he kept asking if he could help. And she kept handing him things to chop because he asked so earnestly. He was good at chopping. She commented on this. "I have skills," he said. "I am choosing not to ask which ones," she said. And he laughed, that same sudden quiet laugh. And she stirred her pot and told herself very firmly to focus. They ate at her small table, knees almost touching because the table was not built for someone of his height. And he ate everything and said it was the best meal he had eaten in months. And she told him that was a sad statement about his life. And he agreed with a solemnness that made her press her lips together to stop laughing. After dinner, he washed the dishes without being asked. She stood in the kitchen doorway watching him. "You do not have to do that," she said. "You cooked," he said simply. "That is very domestically balanced of you." He glanced at her over his shoulder. "I had a good mother," he said. She felt it in her chest. Yuna came to see her the following week. She showed up at the school at pickup time, lurking near the gate with slightly better energy than the last time Kaylin had seen her. And Kaylin spotted her while walking a student to their parent, and then doubled back. "You look better," Kaylin told her. "I feel better," Yuna said. She was wearing an oversized university hoodie, and she had her hair in a low ponytail, and she looked exactly like the Seoul University student she was supposed to be, the one she had clearly not been, at least not entirely. They sat on the bench near the school entrance. "I should have told you," Yuna said, "from the beginning, who I was." "You were scared," Kaylin said. "I was also testing you," Yuna admitted. And when she looked up, There was something direct and unapologetic in it. I needed to know if you were genuine, or if you were the kind of person who would be nice to someone just to get access to their family. Kaylin looked at her. People do that to you. People do that to him, Yuna said, all the time. And then it affects me, because I am his, and he is very protective. And it has been a long time since I saw him trust someone the way he trusted you with his time. She paused. He is not easy. I noticed, Kaylin said. But he is good, Yuna said. And there was something fierce and quiet in it. He is trying to be good. He has been trying for 3 years now, since he decided to step back from certain things. Not all the way, but far enough that he could breathe. She looked at Kaylin steadily. He came home last week and cooked. He never cooks. I asked him why, and he said he was practicing. A beat. He was practicing because he met someone who made him feel like it mattered. Kaylin looked at the school gate for a long moment. Yuna, yeah, she said. I am not trying to pressure you, Yuna said. I just wanted you to know. She stood up, pulling her hoodie strings. He will not say any of this. He is very proud and very dense, and once spent 40 minutes driving around Gangnam rather than ask for directions. Kaylin burst out laughing. Yuna grinned. He would be horrified that I told you that. Your secret is safe, Kaylin said. Yuna looked at her. You are good for him, she said simply. I knew it in that alley in Mapo, when you gave me a granola bar, and then sat with me on the pavement like it was completely normal. Kaylin shook her head. I did not do anything special. That, Yuna said, pointing at her, is exactly why it was special. She called him that evening. She was not entirely sure why. She had been sitting on her couch with a book she had read the same page of 4 times. And then she had picked up her phone, and his number was there, and she called it before she could talk herself out of it. He picked up on the second ring. Kaylin, see, he said. And she wondered if he would ever say her name without it doing something to her. Probably not. Hi, she said. Are you busy? No, he said immediately. Yuna told me you have been practicing cooking, she said. A very long pause. She is a small problem, he said. She loves you, Kaylin said, smiling. She is still a small problem. She laughed. He made a quiet sound that was him trying not to. Ryu, she said. Yes. I would like to see you again, she said. Not as gratitude, not as anything complicated. She exhaled. Just because I want to. The silence on the other end was not empty. It was the kind of full, weighted silence that said more than words usually managed. Saturday, he said. Saturday, she agreed. I will cook, he said. You just started practicing, she said. I am a fast learner. I want receipts, he laughed. Properly this time, fuller than usual, and she tucked it away somewhere inside herself to keep. Saturday came. He cooked at her place because his apartment was, in his words, not yet ready for company, which she had interpreted correctly to mean it looked like a man who ran an organized crime network in Seoul lived there and had not yet figured out that throw pillows existed. He made sundubu jjigae, soft tofu stew. He brought the ingredients himself in a bag that he held with the careful seriousness of a man transporting something important, which she supposed he was. She sat on the kitchen counter while he cooked, and they talked, easily now, the way people talk when they have moved past performing casualness and arrived at actually being comfortable. She told him about growing up, about her mother who made jollof rice with the focus of someone performing surgery, about the year she almost quit teaching after a particularly hard semester and went back anyway, about the morning she landed at Incheon Airport with 2 suitcases, and the conviction that Seoul was going to be the next chapter. He told her about Yuna, about the years after their mother passed, when he was 19 and suddenly responsible for an 11-year-old girl, in a world that did not make space for softness, about the choices he had made and the ones he was still paying for, and about the 3 years he had spent trying to make different ones. He did not tell her everything. She knew that. But what he told her was true. And she understood the difference between the whole truth and an honest truth. And right now, she had enough. The stew was very good, she told him so. He tried to look like this was expected. She could tell he was quietly pleased. They did the dishes together. She washed, he dried, and they were standing very close in her small Mapo kitchen. And the music from her counter speaker was low, and she turned to say something and found him already looking at her. What? She said. He did not answer immediately. He set down the dish he was drying with careful, deliberate hands and turned to face her fully. I do not know how to do this, he said. Correctly. She turned the faucet off. Do what? This, he said. He made the smallest gesture with his hand, indicating the kitchen, the evening, her, the whole thing. I know how to manage risk. I know how to make decisions that affect many people. I know how to hold a room and soul. He paused. I do not know what to do when someone makes me feel like the room does not matter. Kaylin looked at him. Ryu? She said carefully. Are you trying to tell me something? I am telling you that you matter, he said. That Yuna matters. That the last several weeks have been the first time in a long time that I have thought about something other than what I was managing. He held her gaze. I am telling you that I would like this to continue, whatever this is. I am telling you that I understand if you are not sure. I am telling you that I am willing to wait. And I am telling you that waiting for something worth having is something I know how to do.
She stood there in her kitchen under the warm light, dish soap still on her hands, looking at this man who had shown up in 5 cars, and then shown up again with 6 packs of ramen, and then shown up again with groceries, and then shown up every time she did not fully expect it, and always looked at her like she was the most important thing in whatever room they were in. You practiced that, she said. A little, he admitted. Ryu. Yes. She stepped forward, closed the small distance between them, and took his hand. His fingers were still warm from the dish towel. She felt him go very still. I am not unsure, she said quietly. I just needed to know that you knew what you were saying. He looked at her. I know what I am saying. Okay, she said. Okay, he said. Neither of them moved for a moment. Then he exhaled, slow and quiet, like something he had been holding for a long time was loosening, and his hand closed around hers, and she thought, this is the beginning of something that is going to change everything. She was not afraid of that. 3 weeks later. Kaylin was at her desk during her prep period, grading a batch of creative writing assignments, when her phone buzzed. She expected BC. She expected her mother. She expected a notification from the grocery app she kept forgetting to unsubscribe from. It was a voice note from Ryu, which was new. She put in her earphone and played it. Kaylansi. A pause. He always paused before her name, like it required a moment of intention. I am outside the school. I know you have 40 minutes left. I brought food. Yuna said you skip lunch on Tuesdays. She has too much information about your schedule. Another pause. You do not have to come down, but the food exists. It is getting cold. I will be here. She sat there for 3 seconds. Then she got up so fast she knocked her red pen off the desk. He was parked at the side entrance, leaned against the car, holding a paper bag with the same careful focus he applied to most things. He was in a dark green jacket today. He looked entirely too comfortable standing outside an international elementary school in Mapogu, like it was a perfectly normal place for him to be. She walked up to him. You cannot just show up at my job, she said. You skipped lunch, he said. Ryu. It is fried rice, he said, from a restaurant near Hongdae. They packaged it properly. There is also doenjang soup. And banana milk because Yuna said you like banana milk, and I am choosing to believe her. She looked at him. He looked back at her, completely unbothered, holding a paper bag of food outside a school gate in Mapo. You are unbelievable, she said. You say that, he said, but you are still here. She took the bag from him. She opened it. She smelled the fried rice, which was wonderful. She looked up at him, and the way he was watching her, that still, careful attention, that look that said she was the only thing in the frame. Gamsamnida, she said softly. Thank you. Something moved in his eyes at her Korean, something warm. Always, he said. Just that. Just the one word. But the way he said it, low and certain, like a thing decided long before this moment, made her reach up and straighten the collar of his jacket, which did not need straightening, and he looked down at her hands and then at her face, and right there outside the school gate where he had first appeared in 5 cars like some kind of cinematic event, he kissed her forehead. Slow and deliberate and full of the kind of tenderness that does not announce itself. She closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, he was still watching her. Go eat, he said gently. You have 37 minutes. She laughed, shook her head, and walked back toward the school entrance. She turned back once. He was still there, still watching, and he raised his hand once in a small, quiet wave. She pressed her lips together to stop smiling, turned forward, and failed completely. She told her mother about him on Saturday morning. Over the phone, which was safer, because her mother's face would have been too much to manage across a 12-hour time difference. She kept it simple. She said she had met someone. She said he was Korean. She said he was tall and serious and had come to her job in Seoul with lunch. Her mother was quiet for exactly 2 seconds. "Baby," her mother said, "is he respectful?" "Very," Kaylon said. "Does he make you laugh?" "In his way," Kaylon said. "Does he look at you right?" Kaylon thought about the school gate, the forehead kiss, the way he said her name like it was worth saying carefully. "Yes," she said, "he does." Her mother made a sound of deep, satisfied approval. "Then, baby, I do not need to know anything else. You bring him to meet me when you are both ready. And I will make jollof." "Mama, do not start planning." "I am not planning anything," her mother said, in the voice of a woman actively planning something. "I am just saying. My jollof is a vibe check. If he eats 2 plates, he passes. If he eats 3, I will love him myself." Kaylin laughed until she was leaning against her kitchen counter in her Mapo apartment, 9,000 kilometers away from home, feeling closer to it than she had in months. And here's what happened in the weeks after that. Ryu did not become simple. He was still complicated, still carrying weight she could not fully see, still navigating things she understood only in outline. There were evenings he was quiet in ways that asked nothing of her but presence, and she learned to offer it. There were days she was frustrated by what she could not know, and she told him so, directly, the way she did most things, and he did not deflect. He listened, and then he told her a little more, and then a little more after that. He met BC, who stared at him for a full 15 seconds and then said, "You are very tall." And he said, "I have been told." And BC looked at Kaylin and mouthed the word, "Wow," with absolute commitment. Yuna came to dinner twice more. She sat at Kaylin's table and ate and laughed and called her Unnie once by accident, and then looked briefly embarrassed. And Kaylin said, "You can call me that if you want." And Yuna looked at her brother, and he was looking at Kaylin, and the look on his face was something Yuna had not seen in years. He told Kaylin he loved her on a quiet Wednesday evening. They were on her couch. She was grading. He was reading something on his phone, which he never explained, and her feet were in his lap because she had decided 3 weeks ago that this was a perk of the arrangement, and the couch in her Mapo apartment was too small for him to pretend otherwise. He had never complained. He put down his phone. He looked at her. "Kaylin, see," he said. She looked up. "I love you," he said, clean and direct, no preamble, no layers. She put down her red pen. She looked at him for a moment, at this man who had arrived in 5 cars and stayed for dinner and learned to cook and held her hand like it was something to be careful with. "I love you too," she said. "I have for a while." He exhaled, quiet and low. "You could have said something," he said. "So could you," she said. He looked at her. "Fair," he said. She leaned her head back on the armrest and reached over and took his hand again, the way she had in the kitchen that first time. And he folded his fingers through hers, and they stayed like that, quiet and full and unhurried, while she went back to her grading and he went back to his phone, and the lamp made everything warm, and outside the window Seoul moved and glittered the way it always did, like a city that had no intention of sleeping. This, she thought, was what it felt like. Not the movies, not the dramatic arrival at the school gate, not even the forehead kiss, though that had been something. It was this. The ordinary weight of a person you loved sitting next to you in comfortable silence. It was the best thing. And that is the story of Kaylin, the woman who flew to Seoul for a teaching contract and stayed because the city got under her skin. And then one Thursday evening went out to catch the subway with her leftover jollof rice, and instead got a girl in an alley and a complicated man with 5 cars And one dinner that became a good dinner, that became many dinners, that became love. She will tell you, if you ask, that she was not looking for any of it. But she will also tell you, if you are honest with her, that some of the best things are the ones you were not looking for. She is still teaching at Maplewood International. She still has 3 pens in her bag. She still calls her mother every Saturday morning across a 12-hour time difference. She still makes jollof that is very, very good. Ryu, for the record, ate 4 plates the first time he met her mother. He passed. If this story made you feel something, drop it in the comments. Tell me your favorite scene. Tell me your favorite line. Tell me if you are Team Kaylin, Team Ryu, or Team Yuna, who honestly carried so much of this story and deserves her own episode. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification bell so you do not miss what is coming next. I will see you in the next one.